The story will be told from the perspective of the main female character.
I got rid of all your things. You didn't really need that ugly furniture anyway, right? That was the very first thing I heard when I stepped back into my house after being away for 6 months. I had just returned to my hometown. I stood there, tired from the trip, still holding my bag, trying to understand if I had heard that correctly. I'm 38 years old. I work as a marketing manager for a large American tech company. 6 months earlier, I finally reached a goal I had worked toward for years. I bought my own house, a brand new place. Mine. It felt like proof that everything I had built in my life meant something. I barely had time to enjoy that feeling. Almost immediately after closing on the house, my company assigned me to a 6-month position in Singapore. From a career standpoint, it was a rare opportunity. Saying no would have made no sense. The only thing that truly bothered me was leaving my new house empty for so long. After thinking it over, I spoke with my mom about it. In the end, I gave her a spare key, just in case. You're always so responsible, she told me. Don't stress about the house, focus on your work. I thanked her honestly. I left the country feeling hopeful and calm. Life overseas moved fast. Every day was busy. Work kept me distracted. Weeks blended together and I barely noticed the time passing. Everything went smoothly. Time passed before I even noticed. Then, as my return date got closer, I received a short message from my mom. The moment I read it, my stomach tightened. Your sister got divorced. She's not doing well. My sister and I were never close. We never really understood each other. She has always acted on emotion, made quick choices, and blamed others when things fell apart. Because of that, hearing about another divorce didn't shock me. She was pregnant again too, with her 4th child. I felt more tired than surprised. Her kids, my nieces and nephews, were innocent. Thinking about them hurt. But even so, this was still her situation. Not mine. I didn't feel responsible and I didn't believe I was required to step in. I didn't yet realize how easily that boundary would be crossed while I was on the other side of the world. The next call from my mom wasn't a question. It was a statement. Your sister has nowhere to stay, she said, so I let her move into your house for now. Her tone was light, almost pleased, like she had solved a problem all on her own. What, I said, into my house? You can't decide that without asking me. She didn't react at all. What are you talking about? She replied. I have the spare key, you're not even there, you're sisters. Helping each other is normal. On the surface, it sounded reasonable. In reality, it was pressure, a demand that I give up my space, my privacy, and my property for the sake of family. At that moment, I still didn't understand how bad it would become. I told myself it couldn't be that serious. Maybe she was just sleeping on the couch for a short time. Even that thought made my skin crawl. I knew her too well. But from another country, I had no control. I told myself I would deal with it later. I was wrong. A few days after that call, someone from the neighborhood contacted me on video chat. The moment the screen turned on, I knew something was wrong. There's a construction truck outside your house, she said. They're unloading baby furniture. Are you remodeling or something? My face went cold. I hung up and immediately called my mom. What's happening at my house? I demanded. What renovation? She sounded relaxed, calm. Oh, your sister is having a baby soon, she said. So we turned your bedroom into a nursery. I felt dizzy. My bedroom in my house. That's my home, I said. You had no right. She cut me off. Don't get upset over small details, she said, and then she ended the call. I booked the earliest flight back. When I finally stood in front of my house, it looked the same from the outside. That made it worse. This place was supposed to represent my success, my safety, my quiet space. The moment I opened the front door, I felt like I had stepped into someone else's life. A stroller sat in the hallway. A diaper bag was dumped on the floor. The air smelled like baby formula and powder. I walked into the living room. My heart dropped. The Italian sofa I had chosen so carefully was gone. In its place were toys scattered everywhere. Crayon marks covered the walls. My breathing turned shallow. I ran toward the bedroom and stopped. The walls were bright pink, not soft, not subtle, loud. A cheap Star Mobile hung from the ceiling. The floor was covered with animal print play mats. In the center of it all, rocking a baby I didn't recognize, stood my sister. "Oh, you're back," she said. No excitement, no surprise. "What is this?" I asked. "Why are you here? Where is my furniture?" She let out a long sigh, like I was being difficult. "I had nowhere to go after the divorce," she said. "Mom gave me the key. We're family. Helping each other is normal, right?" That was when something inside me snapped. Without saying another word, I turned around, got in my car, and drove straight to my parents' house. When I arrived at my parents' house, my dad said almost nothing. He just stood there, frowning, looking tired. My mom, on the other hand, laughed. "Oh, really?" she said. "Family supports each other. Your sister has been through a lot." I stared at her, trying to understand how she could say that so casually. It felt unreal, like none of this mattered to them. They were completely disconnected from reality. I didn't argue, I didn't shout. I simply turned around and walked out. I drove to a nearby motel and checked in. That night I lay on the stiff bed, staring at the ceiling. The room was cold, silent. My mind wouldn't stop moving. I understood one thing very clearly. This was no longer something that could be fixed with a conversation. Talking was over. This was a fight for my home, for my life, for everything I had built. I barely slept. The next morning I went straight to the local police station. I told myself that if I explained everything, maybe they could remove her for trespassing. It was a weak hope, but it was all I had left. The officer at the front desk listened at first. He nodded. He looked sympathetic. But the moment I mentioned that the person inside my house was my sister, and that my mom had given her the key, his face changed. "Well," he said slowly, "that sounds like a family issue." I felt my chest tighten. "She has reasons," he continued. "Instead of escalating this, it might be better for your family to sit down and talk." I couldn't believe it. "Talk," I said. "She took over my house." I raised my voice. He didn't react. "I'm sorry," he said. "There's not much we can do. Since the key was given by your mother, proving illegal entry would be difficult. This is a civil dispute. Police aren't authorized to intervene." That was it. His words landed like a final judgment, cold, absolute. I walked out of the station feeling empty and furious at the same time. The law wasn't on my side. Society wasn't on my side. No one was. Fine. If no system was going to protect me, I would protect myself. I would stay within the law, but I would fight on my own terms. Back in my car, I opened my phone and scrolled through my company's list of legal contacts. I stopped when I saw the name of a lawyer known for handling property disputes. I called by pure luck. He could see me that same afternoon. I organized everything in my head and went straight to his office. When I finally sat down across from him, seeing him in person, his gaze was sharp and steady. He listened without interrupting, without reacting emotionally. When I finished, he spoke in a calm, firm voice. "The police were right about one thing," he said. "This is a civil matter, and in civil cases facts matter, feelings don't, sympathy doesn't, evidence is everything." He paused, then looked at me directly. "Your fight to get your house back starts now." His words grounded me. There was no space left for self-pity. "Evidence," I repeated, "but I can't even move freely inside my own house. How am I supposed to collect anything?" He smiled slightly, not warmly, strategically. "There's a way," he said. "You don't confront her directly. You hit the one point she can't block legally." He explained the plan. I would tell my sister that I was refinancing my mortgage, that the bank required an official property appraisal. It was a normal process, completely believable. Because she wasn't the owner, she had no legal power to stop it. The appraiser would actually be an investigator hired by my lawyer. He would inspect every room while recording everything. Photos, video, every detail of the damage. "She may resist," he said, "but if you tell her that blocking a bank appraisal could cause legal trouble, she won't risk it." He was right. When I called her, she tried to delay. She said she was busy, that it wasn't a good time. When I mentioned that my lawyer would inform the bank if access was denied, her tone changed. She agreed, reluctantly. A few days later, I stood in front of my house again. This time I wasn't alone. When she opened the door, she barely looked at me. Her face tightened, and she stepped aside without a word. I stayed calm and followed the investigator inside. He worked slowly and carefully, holding a clipboard and filming everything with a small camera. He spoke in a neutral, professional voice. "We need to document the condition of each room for valuation purposes." She didn't question it. Every stain on the floor, every scribble on the walls, every inch of my bedroom drowned in harsh pink paint, everything was recorded. She stood nearby, completely unaware. I looked at her back and thought quietly to myself, just a few more steps. That same afternoon, I went straight back to the lawyer's office. I transferred the photos and videos onto his computer. He studied them closely, the ruined walls, the destroyed bedroom. A deep line formed between his brows, not shock, controlled anger. "This is solid," he said, "but do you have proof of what the house looked like before?" "Yes," I answered immediately. When I bought the house, I had been so proud that I photographed every room. I opened my laptop and showed him the folder saved in my cloud. Clean walls, polished floors, a calm bedroom with soft off-white paint. He compared the images silently, then he nodded. "Perfect," he said. "This proves intent. There's no room for debate. They won't see this coming." Then he explained the first move. "We send a formal demand," he said. "Certified delivery, 2 points, immediate evacuation, and a notice that all damages will be assessed after they leave with full costs claimed legally. We don't list the amount yet," he added. "Uncertainty works in our favor." I agreed. Ending the illegal occupation came first. That night back in the motel, my phone wouldn't stop vibrating. My phone wouldn't stop shaking on the nightstand. The screen kept lighting up again and again. Calls, messages, missed calls stacking on top of each other. They were all from the same 2 people. Just like my lawyer warned, I didn't answer. I watched the names flash on the screen and felt something inside me go cold. No explanations, no arguments. Silence was the point. When the calls stopped, the voicemail started. Later, during a short break at work, I put in my earbuds and listened. "What is wrong with you?" my mom's voice shouted through the speaker. "I just received a letter from a lawyer. You're evicting your own sister. You're threatening to sue us for damages. Have you completely lost your mind? How can you drag family into court like this?" Her words weren't filled with concern for what had been done to me. They were filled with panic. Her plan was falling apart. Then came my sister's message. Her voice trembled, thick with forced sobs. "How could you do this to me, to us? I have children, I have nowhere to go. You didn't have to make this so extreme. Bringing in a lawyer, please, let's just talk. Don't do this to me." I felt nothing while listening. No guilt, no doubt. I had heard this tone my entire life. The same performance, tears used as leverage. If she truly wanted to talk, she wouldn't have taken over my house and destroyed my belongings. Everything was unfolding exactly as predicted. "They'll try emotional pressure first," my lawyer had said. "Don't give in." I turned off my phone and took a slow breath. I was done playing my role in their drama. Days passed. I ignored every message. Eventually, my lawyer's office contacted me with an update. As expected, both my mom and my sister had been calling non-stop, demanding to speak with me. He summarized their position in a short email. My mom insisted I had lost my mind and claimed taking a family issue to court was disgraceful. My sister said she was broke and unable to leave immediately. Neither showed any intention of moving out. None of it surprised me. I never expected them to cooperate willingly. My sister was relying fully on sympathy and delay, hoping I would back down. That's when my lawyer moved to the next step. "Then we file for a provisional injunction," he said. "We request immediate eviction. Once the court approves it, enforcement officers can legally remove her." I agreed without hesitation. Any goodwill I had left was gone. My home had been violated. Now consequences would follow. The process moved fast. The evidence did all the work. The contrast between the images was brutal. On one side, videos showing the damage I discovered after returning. On the other, clean photos from when the house was new. The difference spoke for itself. A peaceful home had been deliberately ruined. The court ruled in my favor. An eviction order was issued. Later, a neighbor told me what happened when the enforcement officer arrived to post the notice. It was intense, she said. Your sister ran outside. She was completely pale. She stared at that paper like it was a death sentence. For the first time, emotional manipulation didn't matter. The law didn't care about excuses. That night my phone rang again. This time it was my dad. He had stayed silent through everything. He hadn't stopped them. He hadn't supported me either. He had simply avoided choosing a side. His voice sounded weak, tired. Please, he said, can you stop this? I know you're hurt, but suing your sister, suing family, we can't live like that. Your mom is falling apart. Don't make this worse. It wasn't concern for me, it was fear. Fear of embarrassment, fear of losing control. I answered quietly. Are you saying this to me? I asked. To the person whose bedroom was destroyed. Not to the sister living in my house illegally. Not to the person who handed over the key. He didn't know how to respond. He kept repeating the same sentence. We're family, don't make a scene. The call ended without resolution. When I put the phone down, I didn't feel angry. I felt tired and disappointed. His silence had allowed everything to happen. The injunction included a short grace period. I waited in the motel, checking updates, barely sleeping. According to my lawyer, my sister scrambled to find legal help. She tried to fight it, but the evidence was overwhelming. The day before the deadline, a message came through from her. It was filled with hate. You ruined my life. You're going to throw me and my kids onto the street. You're heartless. I hope you freeze alone in that empty house. I felt only a dull stillness reading it. Even now, she blamed me for everything. I forwarded the message to my lawyer without replying. I labeled the email simply as documentation. The next day, just after noon, I received a short message. They had left. The house was mine again. I sat there for a long moment, letting the tension finally drain from my body. But there was no relief yet. This wasn't over. Getting my house back was only the beginning. I sat on the edge of the motel bed, letting the weight of the past weeks settle around me. The eviction notice had gone through. The house was mine again, but the victory felt strangely heavy. Relief mingled with dread. I could almost feel the echo of every disrupted room, every ruined wall, every lost possession pressing against me. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath, trying to imagine walking back into the house, seeing it with my own eyes and finally confronting the mess for the first time. My heart raced with anticipation and tension. Even though the legal battle had been won, I knew the real work, the cleanup, the repair, and reclaiming the space that had been violated, was about to begin. It was a moment of pause, a quiet preparation for the confrontation ahead, where the reality of my home and the effort it would take to restore it would finally meet me face to face. I checked out of the motel the same day and went straight home. The moment I stepped inside, I saw how bad it really was. In person, the damage felt heavier. The mess wasn't just visual, it felt deliberate, careless, personal. Seeing it only strengthened my resolve. I contacted my lawyer immediately. Under his guidance, we moved to the next phase. Getting the house back had only opened the door to the real work. We began preparing the damage claim. First came the estimates. Contractors walked through the house and documented everything that needed to be repaired. Walls, floors, paint, fixtures, every number added weight. Then came the inventory. I spent hours going through photos I had taken when I first bought the house. Room by room, piece by piece, I wrote down every item that had been thrown away or replaced. Furniture, decor, personal belongings. Each one had a price, each one had a memory. When everything was totaled, the number was staggering. The final amount came to $420,000, enough to buy a modest house in a small town, an amount my sister could never realistically pay. My lawyer prepared the formal demand letter. It outlined the evidence, the documentation, and the total claim. The letter was sent by certified mail. Payment deadline 30 days. If unpaid, a civil lawsuit would be filed immediately. A few days later, my mom called. Her voice sounded thin, frightened. Please, she said, stop this. She can't pay that kind of money. If assets get seized, she'll be ruined. What about the children? Are you really willing to do that to them? How can you be so cold? There it was again, the same tactic, using the kids as a shield. I answered calmly. You should have thought about that before my bedroom was destroyed, I said. You're protecting the wrong people. She tried to interrupt me, but I continued. If you actually cared about those children, you would stop excusing this behavior and show them what responsibility looks like. She said my sister was sorry. People who are truly sorry don't fight to the end through lawyers. I told her I was done speaking outside of legal channels and ended the call. After that, I deleted her contact permanently. As the deadline approached, my lawyer called with an update. They've responded, he said. They say they can't pay the amount, they're asking for a major reduction. If not, they're threatening bankruptcy. For a moment my head spun. After everything she had done, she was ready to hide behind the law and walk away. Anger surged, then disappointment, then something steadier. I understand, I said finally. Proceed with the lawsuit. Even if I never recover $1, I want this judged in court, publicly, officially. There was a short pause. That's the right call, my lawyer said. Between us, I believe the bankruptcy threat is a bluff. They have no real defense. If we don't back down, they likely will. Negotiations were over. We moved forward. As expected, the threat collapsed. A few days later, my lawyer received a message from their side. They agreed to pay the full amount. They asked to do it in installments. I considered it carefully. I'll accept installments, I said. 2 conditions. One of my parents must act as guarantor, and if she misses even one payment, I can demand the full remaining balance immediately. Everything must be notarized. They agreed. Weeks later, I sat in my lawyer's office signing documents. I never saw my sister again. Everything was handled through legal channels. Just like that, the fight ended. I repaired the house right away. The pink walls were repainted a calm off-white. The floors were restored. The damage was erased piece by piece. I replaced the furniture slowly, carefully. This time I chose only what truly mattered to me, things that made the house feel quiet and safe. The house wasn't just repaired. It became what I had always wanted it to be. The family I lost was not restored. A year has passed. Every month the payment arrives on time. Silent, automatic. That is the only connection that remains between us. I haven't heard from my parents. Recently, a friend told me she ran into my sister and my mom at a discount store. She said my sister looked exhausted, worn down, yelling at the kids while holding the baby. My mom stood nearby, older, drained, repeating that they had no money left. People stared. Listening to that story, I felt nothing. No joy, no pity. Nothing had changed. My sister still refused to take responsibility. My parents, who enabled her for years, were now paying the price as guarantors. That was their choice. My house is quiet now, peaceful, solid. It is my sanctuary, and proof of the fight I chose to finish. Maybe I lost the illusion of family to protect my life. If so, it was worth it. Some boundaries cannot be crossed, even by blood. And sometimes to protect them, you have to fight. In this quiet house, I live on my own terms.